My uncle disappeared in Antarctica 3 months ago. The official report says equipment failure, but I found his personal recordings, and I think something else happened out there. Uncle Ray worked for the National Science Foundation, studying ice core samples at a remote research station. He'd been there for 8 months when the communication stopped. I'm sharing this because his final recordings were never included in the official investigation. The first recording is dated February 15th, day 127. We're drilling deeper than anyone's gone before. The ice down here is over 400,000 years old, but we found something weird at 200 meters. The ice changes color, gets darker, like it's contaminated with something. February 18th. The contamination isn't random. It forms patterns, geometric shapes that repeat every few meters. Johnson thinks it's just mineral deposits, but I've never seen anything like this. The shapes are too perfect, too deliberate. February 22nd. We brought up a sample today. The dark ice contains organic compounds, complex ones. Johnson sent samples to McMurdo Base for analysis, but I kept one for myself. Under the microscope, the organic matter looks almost structured, like tiny machines. This is where the recordings get disturbing. February 25th. The sample I kept has been changing, growing. The organic compounds are spreading through the regular ice, converting it. It's happening at room temperature, which should be impossible. I've isolated it in the lab freezer, but I can see it moving, slowly, but definitely moving. February 28th. Johnson is acting strange. He's been spending hours staring at the ice samples, just watching them. But when I ask him about it, he says he's listening. I asked him, what's he listening to? He said, the old instructions. I don't know what that means. March 2nd. Johnson tried to sabotage the drilling equipment today. I caught him pouring some kind of acid on the drill bits. When I confronted him, he said we needed to go deeper, that the ice was calling us down. I locked the lab and I'm keeping the samples away from him, but I think it's too late. The contamination isn't just in the ice anymore. It's in the air, in the water, maybe in us. March 5th. I understand now. The organic compounds aren't just random contamination. They're a preserved ecosystem, something that lived in the ice for hundreds of thousands of years, waiting. The geometric patterns aren't natural formations. They're infrastructure, a network. Johnson isn't acting strange because he's sick. He's acting strange because he's being instructed. The compounds are designed to integrate with neural tissue. They're turning him into some kind of receiver. March 8th. The final recording. I tried to radio McMurdo Base, but the equipment is dead. Johnson destroyed it. He's not Johnson anymore. He keeps talking about the collective and the awakening. He says the ice we've been drilling through isn't just ancient ice. It's a preservation system, a way to keep something alive through the ice ages. Something that's been waiting for us to find it. Something that's been patient for 400,000 years. I can hear them now too. The instructions, they're not coming from Johnson. They're coming from inside my head. The contamination has spread to me. I understand what we've done. We've awakened something that was meant to stay buried. If anyone finds this, don't send another research team. Don't investigate the site. Burn everything. The ice, the samples, the entire station. Some things are buried in the ice for a reason. The voices are getting louder. They're telling me to go deeper, to bring the others, to spread the awakening. I'm going to try to destroy the lab, but I don't think I can fight the instructions much longer. They're not just in my head anymore. They're becoming my thoughts. The recording ends there. The rescue team found the research station buried under an avalanche. Uncle Ray's body was never recovered. The official report blamed unstable ice conditions. But here's what bothers me. The rescue team reported that the drilling site had been expanded. Someone had been digging deeper, even after the station was abandoned. McMurdo Base confirmed they never received any samples from Ray's team. And last week, I got a call from an unknown number. The voice sounded like Uncle Ray, but wrong somehow. Flat, mechanical. We're still drilling, the voice said, still going deeper, still following the instructions. The awakening has begun. I tried to trace the call, but the number doesn't exist. I'm sharing this because I think Uncle Ray's still out there, somewhere under the ice, and I think he's not alone anymore. The NSF is planning another expedition to the same area next month. I've tried to warn them, but they won't listen to conspiracy theories. Some things should stay buried. I need to tell someone about what happened to my friend Jake, because the police won't listen and his family thinks I'm crazy. But I have the screenshots. I have proof. Jake and I have been friends since college. We both ended up working in the same city after graduation. Him as a software developer, me in marketing. We'd hang out most weekends, grab beers, talk about work, the usual stuff. He was the most rational guy I knew. Never believed in anything paranormal. Always had a logical explanation for everything. That's why what happened makes no sense. It started about 3 months ago. Jake had been complaining about his upstairs neighbor for weeks. Loud music, stomping around at all hours, parties that went until 3 a.m. Normal apartment stuff, you know. But Jake said it was getting worse. He tried talking to the guy, left notes, even called the landlord. Nothing helped. I swear, Mike, he told me over coffee one Saturday. It's like the guy is deliberately trying to drive me insane. Last night he was dragging furniture around for 4 hours straight. Who does that? I suggested he get some earplugs, maybe look for a new place. Jake just shrugged. I shouldn't have to move because of some inconsiderate asshole. The text started getting weird around mid-October. Jake would message me at random hours. Can you hear that? It's so loud. He's doing it again, same pattern over and over. I recorded it, but the audio file won't play back. Just static. When I'd asked what he was talking about, he'd always said it was the neighbor. But Jake had started sounding off, paranoid. He'd call me at 2 a.m. asking if I hear the noise through his phone. I never heard anything. Then he sent me a photo of his ceiling. There were what looked like water stains, but they were arranged in a perfect grid pattern like footprints. This is impossible, he texted. The stains move. I've been marking them with a pen, and there are different spots every morning. I went over to check on him. Jake looked terrible. Dark circles under his eyes. Hadn't shaved in days. His apartment was a mess. But the weirdest thing, his ceiling looked completely normal. No stains, no marks, nothing. You don't see them? He asked, staring up at the ceiling. They're right there. I'll show you. He grabbed a ladder and climbed up, running his hand along the ceiling, tracing patterns that weren't there. I was starting to really get worried about him. Jake, maybe you should see someone. A doctor, I mean. You haven't been sleeping. I'm not crazy, he snapped. I know what I'm seeing. I know what I'm hearing. That was the last time I saw him in person. The text continued, but they got stranger. He's not upstairs anymore. He's in the walls. Found a hole behind my bookshelf. Go straight up. Landlord says 3B has been empty for 6 months. The last one made me call him immediately. Jake's phone went straight to voicemail. I tried several times over the next few days, but nothing. Finally, I drove to his apartment. The landlord let me in. Jake was gone, but he'd left his phone on the kitchen counter. The screen was cracked, but it still worked. I scrolled through his recent messages, and that's when I found the photos he'd never sent me. Pictures of his ceiling, but this time I could see what he'd been talking about. There were stains, dark, organic-looking marks that looked like footprints. But they weren't on the ceiling. They were on the floor, his floor, and they led up from the front door to the center of the room, where there was a hole, a perfectly round hole that went straight into the darkness. The last photo in his phone was taken from inside the hole looking up. You could see his apartment above, but also something else. Another apartment, identical to Jake's, but upside down. And in that upside down apartment, there was a figure standing at the window. The figure was Jake. But here's the thing that keeps me up at night. I checked the metadata on those photos. They were taken 3 days after Jake disappeared. 3 days after the landlord and I searched his empty apartment and found nothing but dust in his cracked phone. I turned the phone over to the police, but they said the photos were corrupted, unreadable, just showed static. They filed a missing persons report and told me to call if I heard from him. But I do hear from him. Every few weeks, I get a text from Jake's number. Found the pattern. It's not just footsteps, it's a map. The building goes both ways, up and down. The neighbors aren't upstairs, Mike. They're everywhere. And then last week, I got one that made me pack a bag and stay at my parents' house. I can see your apartment from here. You should check your ceiling. I haven't been back home since. I'm writing this from a coffee shop, and I keep looking up at the ceiling, checking for stains that shouldn't be there. Because yesterday I got a text from my own number. A text I never sent, from my own phone. The hole's getting bigger. If you're reading this and live in an apartment building, and you've been hearing footsteps from upstairs, maybe don't investigate. Maybe just move. Some neighbors are better left undisturbed. I still get texts from Jake's number, but now I'm getting them from other numbers too. Numbers I don't recognize, all saying the same thing. Welcome to the building. I think I know what happened to Jake, and I think it's about to happen to me. If you don't hear from me again, check your ceiling.